Hello, I'm The Sun's royal editor Matt Wilkinson, and this is Royal Exclusive. Today we welcome to the studio The Sun's legendary photographer Arthur Edwards and news.com.au royal correspondent Bronte. And would you believe it's been 5 years since Megxit, where the Sussexes stepped back as working royals and Harry and Meghan decided to move to California? Right, you two, let's have a quick chat about 5 years on from Megxit. Are we able to say who's come out on top and whether it was the right decision for the Buckingham Palace and also the Sussexes?
I don't think they've come out on top. No, I think they're doing okay in a society where it's important to be like that, and they're doing pretty well in America. But you know, in 10 years, I mean, in 5 years' time, I hope Harry's back here working for the royal family, because I worked with him when he did that, and he was brilliant at it. And I think what I see him doing in America now, I don't think he's fulfilling his full potential. He's playing polo matches and doing very little, and he misses his working her socks off. You know, I mean, whatever we say about these shows, you know, they take a lot of organising, a lot of filming, and a lot of refilming and doing it properly. And this Harry's doing anything. In fact, we don't see Harry much these days. So I think that the 5 years. They've managed to accuse the royal family of racism. They've said some awful things about Camilla. He's been writing about he's fighting with his brother. All the things you just don't do. You keep all that out of the limelight. You don't talk about the family. And she's been on to Oprah Winfrey, and she's done all this, saying all these things, some of which is untrue. And I think, you know, all we do is talk about them. You know, every day in the papers or doing something, we're just talking about them. So they must be doing something.
Listening to that, Bronte, that Arthur's just listed everything that has happened since Megxit, has it been a successful Megxit for Harry and Meghan? Is this where they envisaged that they would be 5 years on from leaving the royal family?
You can't imagine that it is, because you cast your mind back. I can remember very clearly in 2020, obviously they had a lot of critics for the way that they left the royal family, but they also did have a lot of supporters, particularly in the US. And I think that they sort of, for me, it looked like they kind of had the world at their feet, because they had left something that is such a unique institution. There was only a handful of people that had the status that they had. There was unprecedented interest in them, whether you're a fan or a critic. They went over there and it felt like this is the start of a real empire. You know, everyone was clamouring to sign them, as we saw with these mega deals in the first year or so. I think it would be hard to argue that this is not now 5 years on how they'd imagined it. It's how they'd imagined it, because reputationally, particularly since last year, the Hollywood Reporter article for me in around September was a real turning point, because it's obviously an industry Bible over there. And then everything that's followed. Reputationally, they've taken a lot of hits, and I think particularly given everything they've put out there, and with the Harry and Meghan documentary and with Harry's book, I think they would have thought that they had more of a firm foundation of support, where it does actually feel like instead they've lost a lot of support in Meghan's home country. So, yeah, I think with all the deals they were signing and everything, these big plans, I think I don't think it's panned out how they would have thought.
Arthur touched on it just now, a really interesting point, because at the moment it's Meghan of all these projects that she's doing. Bronte, where's Harry?
Great question, and I actually did mean to touch on that as well, because something I was thinking about with this Megxit anniversary is there's these articles, and I think there's someone had quoted Meghan herself in that Vanity Fair article in January, talking about how Harry hadn't made a lot of friends over in their new home in California. And I think there was an article last year, one of them talked about how he found himself a little bit directionless day to day, because he's got bigger projects at times, but like day-to-day activities, that's the kind of thing that keeps you busy and engaged. And so when the kids are at school, what else are you doing to fill your days? And I think that is something, as you said, where is Harry is the question, because, you know, there's two different Harrys you're hearing about. There's he's never been happier, or he's missing home. Again, I think the truth is somewhere in the middle, but certainly it would be the case that after living his entire life within an institution that kind of took care of his daily activities for him, you know, all of a sudden he isn't in that situation anymore, and the excitement of that and the newness of that he would have had after his first couple of years of freedom would certainly have worn off by now, 5 years in.
Arthur,
and I think I just want to say one thing. When Donald Trump comes over, He got no time for Meghan, has he? So if the royal family, I love talking to him about that.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Arthur, you know the royal family, the ins and outs. You've been watching them. You've been taking pictures of them, speaking to them for decades. Do you think Megxit has worked for the King, for William, for Catherine, the Queen, for the royal family as a whole that are remained in the UK? Do you think that it's been beneficial to the working royal family?
I don't think so, no, I really don't, because I worked that first year when Meghan, after she married Harry, and I thought she was sensational. I mean, I went everywhere with her, Matt, and she was absolutely brilliant. She just gave everything, both of them, and I thought, she was going to be a big asset to the royal family. Obviously, when she scooted off, obviously I changed my view on it. I thought, well, what's better in America than being a member of the royal family here, where you are somebody, where you are important, where you are a major person, a major figure in the country, where now all they are is a couple of celebrities competing with other celebrities to try and make a living. And I just find that, I think they've come off worse. I think here, as I say, she was somebody. But then she went on and said, they locked up my passport, they won't give me my driving licence, all that stuff, which is absolute rubbish, and tried to sort of destroy what I thought she was enjoying. I thought that, as I say, that first 18 months, I can't tell you, she was like on fire. Crowds were huge looking at her. She was sensational. I think she's going there. She's a former actress trying to sell a few clothes, and hopefully, people will take interest. Well, I think that will die. I think those things, that only last a while, and then people will start forgetting and want something different. If Harry had stayed here, their children would have been stars. They would have been princes and princess. They would have gone to nice, got to know their own cousins and enjoyed life much better. I think all we do is see back views of their children. I don't know why not? Why is it like that? I don't know. I think they might think they're better off, but I think they're not.
So hypothetically, if you cast your mind forward, look into your crystal ball, just very, very shortly or very briefly, where do you think Harry and Meghan will be in 5 years or 10 years' time, Bronte?
Oh, it's so hard to say because look where we are now compared to 5 years ago. Maybe we'll be on season 10 of With Love, Meghan.
Oh,
I don't really think so. Arthur will be watching, we know it.
I won't.
No, I think there's
I'll brick for the telly.
I think there's a solid chance. I know it's a divisive topic, but I think there's a solid chance there will be some capacity of Harry working back here or doing work for the Commonwealth. Yeah.
Arthur, where do you think they'll be in 5 or 10 years' time?
Well, I hope he's back. I mean, I really mean that, Matt. I think he was superb. I mean, he fought he went to war for us. He was just a superstar. He was. I love working with him. I just wished he was back here doing what he does best, which is supporting his father.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate your thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, that's all we have time for on this week's Royal Exclusive. Thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments as we do read them, and don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. See you next week.